it's not just the big three this week. And I know that the big three that we're talking about, those big three games are kind of like Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh. I mean, that's a pretty good big three. But you've also got...
Gotta get some NBA talk in there.
Yes, baby. It started this week. You've also got University trying to clinch its first playoff spot since 2009 this week against Leander Rouse. You've got Midway playing a really key district game. Midway very much in the playoff hunt against Bryan on homecoming. You got Salado-Connally, Madisonville-Gatesville, Crawford-Bosqueville. I mean, Crawford's kind of the clear favorite in that district, but Mart-Wortham that's a regional final rematch. So Chad, you look like you want to say something. Let me get my question in. There's a lot of intriguing matchups this week. Which of all of these outside of the big three are you most interested in? And go ahead and speak now.
Well, I saw the script and I knew you had done it, and I was going to burn you for it. You left out a state ranked matchup in that bunch.
Is it?
You know what it was?
Is it Chilton?
Yep, Chilton-Granger.
Chilton-Granger.
So,
Yeah. That's my fault. Like I said, you could pick 10, 12 games this week, you know?
Well, you mentioned Tepper's list earlier, and there were, I think, 6 Central Texas games in that list, including, I think, Lake Belton and Midlothian, which is another fantastic matchup.
Well, and I saw some of our friends from the Temple media go, comment to that tweet by Tepper, and they said, Temple-Harker Heights is a pretty big game too.
It is.
And it is. Absolutely.
I picked Harker Heights in that one. I mean, it was a hard week to pick. I'm glad I got a jump on it last night because it took me more time than it usually does. But since I already mentioned it, I'm just going to roll with that Chilton-Granger matchup. They've each beaten Bremond the last 2 weeks. They're both state ranked. Chilton looks as good as I've seen Chilton look during this run.
Wow. Okay. DJ,
yeah, I agree with Chad on that matchup. I got to talk to this gentleman that played for the Chilton team that won their first ever state title 50 years ago in 72. And it was a great conversation. It's going to go in the notebook tonight. And I think that's he was talking about how this is one of the best teams that he's seen play in all the years that he's, been following Chilton. I also, it's hard to pick out of all of these because they're all really, really good. I'm excited for University. I think they do have a chance against Leander Rouse, as good as Leander Rouse is. And I mean, even if it doesn't happen this week, they've still got plenty of time to clinch that playoff. I think they
need one win. They need one win. So I agree. I think they get it.
Yeah. One you didn't list here, it was that Teague-Groesbeck, which I picked Groesbeck, although it's pretty close. I mean, they did lose against Fairfield last week. Not that Fairfield isn't a good team. Like those Stone County feud matchups that we were talking about last week that were all really close, all really competitive. But I don't know. I guess I was a little surprised that Groesbeck didn't pull it off. But not too surprised that Fairfield won because they are a good team. And I think Teague has a chance to beat Groesbeck, but I don't think Groesbeck's gonna want to lose another one of those games.
Nobody wants to lose, but sometimes you do.
Well,
yeah. I just have a feeling like they'll bounce back, even if it's like a 3-point, like
Well, that district produces a lot of 3-point games. I mean,
I picked Teague because I feel like they've got a first-year coach and trending in a good direction, gaining momentum.
Okay, well, I'm with DJ. That was a surprising result last week. Fairfield winning. I mean, and maybe John Bechtel watched our podcast last week and just said, "Hey, it's not going to come down to Fairfield at Teague in week 11. We're going to put ourselves in this race right now." I'd like to think that, but that's probably not the case. And John's a great guy. I mean, I'm with you guys. There's some excellent matchups, even among those that I didn't mention, but I do want to go back to a couple I did mention. I think Salado-Connally is a really interesting one because I think we talked earlier on the podcast earlier this year that this could be Conley's year to sort of supplant Salado as sort of the team in that district that everybody's chasing. Salado's coach that they had, for several years and sort of built their culture around is now the coach at Chaparral down in Killeen, that new Killeen school. And so they're, Salado's been in a bit of a transition this year. So I think this is Conley's chance to, sort of say, hey, look, we're the team to beat now in that district. And so that's one I'll be really interested in. I did, put Crawford-Bosqueville and Mart-Wortham on the list. I think the picks on those are easy. I mean, I don't
Madisonville-Gatesville though, that's hard to pick.
Yeah. And this is no disrespect to Wortham or Bosqueville, but like Wortham made the regional final last year, and I do think they're trending up. They got a good team, but it's Mart, man. I mean, this is what they do. They just, they're a machine. So, but I will also say, I'm going to do a little correlation here. I mean, this is why you play the games, because last night I'm covering Crawford Valley Mills volleyball, and I'm going to get this stat in, and I'm going to send this one to DJ for the notebook. But I was up against it on a deadline perspective. DJ knows this. Because we had a stupid earlier deadline, but I'm not going to.
We still didn't get those pages in until like 10:30.
Yeah.
So,
all right, this is behind the scenes stuff here, but anyway, so Crawford volleyball, they have owned their district opponents for a long time. Now, this is Valley Mills's best team in like probably school history. They're really playing well. And the first time they played, it went to 4 sets, and, they gave Crawford a pretty good match. Well, last night, Crawford's up 2-1, and I kind of expect Crawford to finish it off in 4 sets. And Valley Mills just stepped up and started making like all the key plays. And they forced it to a 5th set. Crawford gets out 8-4, and you think, yeah, Crawford's going to do what Crawford does. It's going to win. And Valley Mills came back and again made all the key plays down the stretch. And that ended a 147 district winning streak for Crawford. 147 district.
11 years, right?
Yeah, it was since 2020, since 2011. So I talked to Jeff Coker about it after I went and visited him in his classroom after I sent my story in, but he was just like, hey, he was obviously not happy, but he was like, I told him we got to go start a new district streak on Friday. He said, basically he said, we can't let it beat us twice, and that's,
you
that's
went
what coaches
to
do.
his, I would say his like classroom is like a classroom / Super Centex museum.
DJ, I gotta send you a photo. I sent it to Chad, or did I send it to both?
No,
of you?
You sent it to both of us.
Okay, I did. Yeah, I did send it to both of you. Yeah, it is a Super Centex museum, and not just Super Centex. It's got all kinds of Waco Trib papers. There's not more Waco Tribs on a wall anywhere in Central Texas than Jeff Coker's classroom. Thank you for supporting us. And with that, we'll knock off. DJ will be at Lorena Franklin, as she said. That will be a heck of a game. And Chad up at the West Grandview. I am at Bryan and Midway. Like I said, Midway stepped up. They won a close one over Copper's Cove last week. I was talking a little trash, at least to Chad, and I was thinking the same thing when I saw both of y'all went with Copper's Cove last week, and I was sending Chad texts saying, nah, Midway's gonna win. And then they had to really pull it out at the end. They did win, but it was a lot closer. I mean, it was like 17-0, wasn't it? And then
and then Copper's Cove took the lead, right?
Yeah, Copper's Cove took the lead, but big win for Reed Tedford. I believe it was actually, if you can believe this, his first win as a varsity starting quarterback, and he did start a lot last year. So, but like they won a game last year over Waco High, and the backup quarterback came in and replaced him in that one. So, and then this year, Junior kind of took over as the starter, and so yeah, big win for Reed Tedford at quarterback for Midway. So anyway, all right, we'll see y'all at the games. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.